factor, too. There were some real close calls last night, so much so that some of the guys have been up all night retooling their cars so that they can win this evening.
It's very true. In fact, many of the drivers who use 2-speed or 3-speed transmissions aren't even shifting in 65 feet of full throttle action. It's going to be a great night, and we'll be back in just a moment with the start of championship action here from Evansville, Indiana, the United States Harvard Association Championship Monster Truck and Mud Bog Spectacular. Roberts Municipal Stadium here in Evansville, Indiana, for the United States Harvard Association's championship program. And the first segment of this event will include the ever-popular monster trucks. And the first Ford entry up this weekend is a brand new piece of equipment from the little town of Woodstock, Illinois, right up in the north central part of the state. This is the first blood Ford being driven by Rob Fuchs. And Fuchs, although he is a relative newcomer to this sport, won the preliminary round. Now remember, we'll be seeing both full four-wheel monster trucks and tanks around this 8-car, 190-foot oval. Indeed, the quickest elapsed time from both categories of machines will meet in the championship final, Shelley. This is a home-built truck at a cost of over $80,000. And Rob's Ford hits the first set of cars out. A tremendous job bouncing around a little bit on the landing. Now he has to make an 18-foot turn, a left-hand turn with only an 18-foot radius, and line up for the second set of cars, and he didn't get it completely lined up.
Being first like that, there are some disadvantages, one of which he's got to get those cars crunched before everybody else, and that slows you down.
It's true. It's much easier to get around a course with the cars crushed flat. The next machine pulling out is indeed one of the wildest new machines of the monster truck circuit of the United States Harvard Association. This is the incredible Samson Chevrolet, originally campaigned by the man who originated the Samson line of trucks, Don Maples from Alabama, now being driven in only its second event ever by longtime United States Harvard Association tractor pulling champion, Dan Patrick. And earlier we had a chance to talk to Dan about the differences between monster trucks and regular pulling tractors.
I think the thing that really I wasn't prepared for was the hard landing if I didn't hit the cars fast enough. The guys that I talked to that have years of experience said, you know, you have to have your speed up when you hit the cars and don't let off of it too soon. And the first time I did, I let off too soon and just body slammed me, and I thought, boy, I really got into something I can't handle here.
It's really that violent inside there. It always looks so violent, but is it that rough in the cab?
It can be very rough. You really have to be strapped tight. Mike, when I get in the car, he straps me. We pull it, band, you know, as tight as we can get it, and that seems to take a lot of the shock out.
Well, you're used to multi-engine supercharged vehicles that always have had a tremendous amount of power, but you said after your first ride that you were quite amazed with the throttle response in that truck.
Yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to, to Don Maples, who built the truck, and see, these things are geared so low that, the horsepower is there instantly. I was really surprised that, every time I hit the throttle, it was there. It was ready to go.
I guess the big question then is, do you like being in the cab one of these things?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I get pumped up. I really do enjoy it.
Well, good luck to you today.
Thank you very much.
You see Dan Patrick leaning out of the cockpit, motioning to his crew chief, Mike Hollingsworth. Interestingly, Hollingsworth, the guy now talking to Patrick in the cab, is the man behind the old Bushwhacker supercharged pulling dragster. Ran his own Bush beer-sponsored funny car for a couple of years at the pulling circuits of the U.S. Harvard Association. It's a heck of a team. A lot of experience. Another incredible wheel stand. Dan Patrick is going for height, and he is still on a roll, not hesitating for a moment.
He sure learned from experience on that last time. He went up and over with the greatest of ease.
A little sideways on the approach on that one, but he lands it and crosses the finish line. A little smoke from out underneath the wheel wells. And Dan Patrick has got to be happy with that second performance. Always that look of competitiveness on his face, Shelley.
He sure does have it. He's so intense about the whole experience. It's so hard for me to even fathom the kind of stress they're under.
On the slow-mo of that second hit, you can see the truck completely crossed up. Looked like the rear independent steering was not completely straight when Dan hit those cars. However, he runs 17.78 seconds, and that's good enough to take over the #1 spot from Rob Fuchs in the first blood Ford. And from Granite City, Illinois, this is Freddie Schaefer's Barefoot Tracks, the brand new 1988 Chevrolet with supercharged, fuel-injected, alcohol-burning Chevrolet power on top of an M4 tank chassis. And earlier we had a chance to talk to Fred Schaefer about this very special evening of competition for the Illinois team. Fred, we haven't had a chance to see the Barefoot Tracks machine in competition that much in U.S. Harvard Association racing, but with the debut of the new Bigfoot Fast Tracks, you've got to be a little concerned with the performance of that truck.
Yes, I am. The two motors on there, it's really fast on acceleration, And after looking at the track, the only thing I can see to do here is I'm going to have to try and make it up on the corners.
Well, do you believe that your machine is going to be able to out-corner that lowrider Ford?
It's going to be tough, but that's where I'm going to have to make it up. If it's going to be made up, it's going to have to be on the corners because he's got the acceleration with the twin engines.
Well, now, Chandler is using basically stock Ford engines in that truck, and you know darn well, as do most of the Chevy fans, that you're notorious for building some of the most powerful engines in all of monster truck racing.
Yeah, he also got all of his weight down low, so there's advantages and disadvantages, but I'd say right now he's at a pretty good advantage.
Well, the Barefoot Tracks machine has always been one of the strongest of the tanks, and it should be interesting, but I know that this is a very special night for you in competition, right?
Yes, it is. I'd like to dedicate this race to Stephen Shell in Michigan.
Now, Steve was with you out of the state of Michigan during the Make-A-Wish program, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, I was contacted by the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they called me on the phone, and Stephen's dying wish was to spend the day with Barefoot and meet the bears and get to ride in the trucks. And we tried to fulfill his wish as best we could, and I called him yesterday, and Stephen passed away yesterday morning.
Indeed, that was a shame, but Bret, if nothing else, your professionalism and your caring for the fans out there is literally without equal in this sport, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Shelley, Freddie Schaefer is moving up in the starting line, and he's got his work cut out for him against Bob Chandler's new Bigfoot Tracks. What do you think?
I think this is going to be pretty exciting because these tanks handle these cars a lot differently than the monster trucks. So even though Freddie's experienced driving the monster truck, he'll have to have a little bit different strategy when he goes over these cars.
Freddie Chevrolet launches harder than any tank before the Bigfoot Ford came out. Take a look. First set of cars literally right through the cars. Over them. Now making the turn as tight as he can, almost into the mud pit, and unfortunately that cost him to go wide. Now look at the steering ability of that tank as he hits it sideways and then straightens it out to cross the finish line. Well, Shelley, there you can see both tracks were on the first car, and that's all that counts. You can't just hit the cars with one track. They have to have both tires or both tracks in any type of monster truck for it to count. He straightened that thing out while on top of the cars. That's an incredible driving job. Remember, they don't have a steering wheel. They have sticks to steer it, just like a regular tank. 15.05 seconds for Freddie Schaefer in the Barefoot Track Chevy. Well, here is the machine that Freddie Schaefer is out to beat tonight. This is the 10th edition of Bigfoot machinery to come from Bob Chandler's four-wheel drive and off-road performance center in St. Louis, Missouri, the Bigfoot Fast Tracks lowrider Ford van tank. Shelley, we had a chance to look at this incredible machine up close earlier and talk to the man himself who started this monster truck craze. Almost 13 years ago, it was Bob Chandler out of St. Louis, Missouri, who started the entire monster truck phenomenon with a big blue Ford called Bigfoot. Now in 1988, this machine, the 10th in the Bigfoot series, is an incredible piece of equipment that a lot of people think will dominate this sport, just like you did back 12 years ago, Bob. And I guess the main question is, why did you decide to take such a radical approach to the construction of this tank monster?
Well, I hate tanks in the first place. I don't know why. But a guy came to me as Lauren Pryor out of Colorado with this vehicle. He had built the chassis. It's an M84 tank, or personnel carrier. And he showed it to me on tape, and I tell you what, it was impressive. What I did, I bought it from him and got it, put it all new interior in it, Ford engines and my own steering, you know, and tell you what, I love it.
What do you see coming up in the future for monster trucks?
What I've done the last year and a half, we've started an organization called MTRA, Monster Truck Racing Association, which is strictly involved in safety of all monster trucks, monster tanks, whatever you want to call them. We've come up with ideas like in this one here, there's a remote kill. My crew member can stop this thing anytime he wants. If a guy were to knock himself out in this or somehow throttle would stick, he could stop it. So I still don't know where we're going. You know, I work year by year, but I want to stay around here for a while, so safety, I think, is the #1 thing.
Here we are again. It seems like history always repeats itself, and Bob Chandler is once again at the forefront of the monster truck wars, this time with tank treads beneath him. The incredible low center of gravity of this machine, as you will see when it takes off the starting line, makes this thing launch so hard. It almost looks like a drag racing throw stalker leaving the starting line. It's the only tank tread vehicle you will ever see that actually does, if you can call it such, a wheel stand. You see the beautiful spun aluminum track wheels that were handmade for this machine. A $110,000. Unbelievable, almost clearing all four cars. Chandler behind the wheel of the incredible Fast Track brings it around. And again, clears 3 of the 4 cars. Absolutely incredible.
He didn't seem to run into the same problems that Barefoot had earlier. He rounded that corner very easily, got over the 4 cars, no problem.
Neil, just absolutely incredible job. It corners so well, it's so powerful. Look at this replay of the second hit. Absolutely incredible. The thing was literally 5 feet in the air from the bottom of the tracks, and the elapsed time, 11.44 seconds, almost 4 seconds faster than Freddie Schaefer's incredible Barefoot Chevy. Looking at the slow motion replay here again on the first set of cars, the wheel stand leaving the starting line, or the track stand, I guess. Now, straight up in the air, Chandler hangs on, a full suspension underneath this machine. You can see it work on the landing. Makes it a lot smoother than any tank before it. Look at the tread distortion on that thing. You want to talk power? So that will set up a championship final between the Samson Chevrolet of Dan Patrick, the winner of the 4-wheeled monster truck class, and the brand new Bigfoot Fast Tracks of